For Umar Khatun, making ends meet used to be almost impossible. But after moving her small clothing shop to this women's market, operated by NGO Action Aid, she has learned the skills needed to run a business.
I got training here. Before, I didn't even know how to count numbers to 1, 2, and 3. Now, thank God, I can read, write, calculate, and manage my accounts.
Umar's life changed completely after her husband was paralyzed.
We used to only rely on the rations we got. Now, I'm able to make my own income and support my family.
A short distance away, Noor Bahar sits and sews. Grateful this center offers its shopkeepers a form of security, both financial and physical.
Only women come to this market. Men aren't allowed to enter. That's why we women feel safe here.
Customers may be constant, but language lessons are just as valued. Rohingya refugees are one of the world's most vulnerable populations. They lack legal status, freedom of movement, and access to a formal education. For everyone here, life is hard and conditions are dire. But for the women in these camps, the situation is even more difficult. In one of the world's largest refugee camps, a growing number of vocational training programs for females are now being offered.
Women are obviously dealing with the compounding risks of both being women and a refugee. So that makes them extra vulnerable to protection concerns. For example, gender-based violence, marginalization, young marriage, confinement to the house, not being included in decision-making.
At this UNHCR-supported skills training center, students are learning how to install and repair solar panels.
There is no difference between men and women when it comes to work. My father and young brother, they don't know how to do this, but I know. Now, we won't need to pay anyone else to fix the device.
Members of a community that's faced so much darkness, hoping they can offer a guiding light. Needed now more than ever. Mohammed, Jamjoom, Al Jazeera, at the Kutupalong refugee camp in Cox's Bazaar, Bangladesh.
Mohammed Jamjoom joins us now from Cox's Bazaar in Bangladesh. Mohammed, I know you've covered the plight of the Rohingya extensively over the years. Just how particularly dire is the situation for the female refugee population there?
Sammy, I started coming to these camps in 2017. This is my 5th visit. Every time I come here, when we speak to the women refugees in these areas, they talk about the fact that their lives are extremely dire, they are precarious. And every time we've come, they've told us that things are getting worse for them with each subsequent year. This female population here encompasses more than 50% of the over 1 million Rohingya refugees that are in this, the largest refugee camp in the world here in Cox's Bazaar, Bangladesh. They are vulnerable to human trafficking. They are vulnerable to crime. They are vulnerable to gender-based violence. And they are also vulnerable to things like the weather, because today, as you see behind us, it's inclement weather. It looks like the sky will open up at any minute. When it rains here, because most of the hills where a lot of the huts are perched on that are made of bamboo, these hills are devoid of vegetation, and that means that they're vulnerable to landslides and mudslides. So these women face difficulties in every aspect of their lives, particularly when it comes to taking care of their families and their children. And more of the women in the camp are needing to earn income as the head of their households. Now, everybody we spoke with in the report that you just saw, they told us that they are aware of how lucky they are to be in these programs. It's just a small number, but a growing number of Rohingya refugee women that have access to programs like this. They say these are much needed. They need to get these kinds of skills in order to earn money, especially in light of the funding shortfalls and the cuts to vital humanitarian aid that are ongoing right now when it comes to the response to the Rohingya refugee crisis. So it is a dire situation. Women here that we speak with are eager to work. As you heard in our report, they were saying they want to work, that they can work just as well as men can. They can earn just as well as men can for their families. They just want to be given the opportunity. And that's why they say that programs like this are as important as they are. Sami?
Thanks so much. Mohammed Jamjoom there from Cox's Bazaar. Noor Azizah is co-founder and director of the Rohingya Maiyafuinor Collaborative Network, a Rohingya women-led organization to create better opportunities and sustainably rebuild the Rohingya community. She joins us now from Taipei in Taiwan. Good to have you with us. So first of all, talk to us about the challenges that women refugees face every day during their lives that make, vocational training programs a necessity for them.
Sure, thank you so much for having me. As you know, 75% of the refugee population in the camps are women and children, and the situation remains extremely dire and have always been dire, but now it has been exacerbated by the funding cuts that we have seen. The World Food Programme has announced the reduction of food aid from $12.50 a month to $6 a month, meaning Rohingya families are living on 20 cents a day. Now, we know 20 cents cannot even buy a packet of noodles. Therefore, Rohingya women are looking for other avenues to bring food to the table. One specific example is that Rohingya women are selling their own sanitary pads that are given by INGOs just to buy rice for their children to eat. They are also stuck in between survival and criminalization, given that they are not allowed to legally work in the camps. So women are expected to support their families, but they are also denied the legal work for opportunities. So many are trading off their own health and well-being in order to put food on the table for their own children. Now, we can also speak about the increased onward movement of Rohingya women and children arriving in Malaysia and Indonesia. UNHCR has stated an 80% increase of arrival in the last year, given the dire condition in Bangladesh, where mothers are looking for better opportunities, not for themselves, but for their very children. 75% of the recent arrivals in Malaysia and Indonesia are women and children. I guess to say that my organisation had to step up in the last year, given the genocidal violence in Burma has increased and displaced more than 100,000 Rohingya refugees. We've had to step up and provide these extremely life-saving programs that we saw early on, where we now provide capacity building program called Threads of Resilience.
All right, Noor, take us through some of those programs and how they work. What are the requirements, for example, for them to undergo the training?
Threads of Resilience is a community-led program that is led by the community themselves. We utilise sewing machines as a tool to upskill Rohingya women and also provide emotional respite and care in a space where opportunities are extremely rare. We started with 12 sewing machines and provided this to 12 young girls. We've also allocated 3 sewing machines to skilled tailors who are also teaching young Rohingya girls to sew and create things, which also give them their own to upskill them, but also give them a long-term outlook, and also to teach younger children, especially girls, to also create materials that they can sell themselves. So the whole point is to retrieve self-sufficiency, and this initiative allows the communities themselves to lead their own journey. It's not just about sewing, it's also about creating a sense of purpose, agency and healing, where our very community are very much in charge of their own lives.
All right, thank you very much, Noor Azizah, the co-founder and director of the Rohingya Maiyafuinor Collaborative Network.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.